How can we avoid being a theological fanboy or fangirl? That's the subject of this video. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Todd. I've been giving a lot of thought recently to my own spiritual pilgrimage. Have you ever noticed that as you're growing up, be it in your spiritual life or just growing up in general, you will go through phases where you really get into a certain person and you look up to them, and then they'll kind of fade and you'll pick up somebody else and you'll kind of follow them for a while. You might do it with sports teams or whatever. But also what I've noticed is since I'm a minister is I've been in ministry long enough now to realize that I've gone through an evolution of one person to the next that I tend to look up to theologically. And so I wanted to give some advice today, especially for younger individuals who haven't traveled quite this far in their journey, their theological journey, and talk to them a little bit about kind of the dangers or what you need to avoid so that you don't become a fanboy or a fangirl. And when I say fanboy or fangirl, what I'm really talking about is someone who is utterly devoted to some theological hero. We all have a tendency toward fanboyism or fangirlism. When I see younger people, especially those that are first being called into ministry, young people in seminary or in Bible college or university, they become very great. They become really good at mimicking their theological heroes. When they have preaching class, they do a really good job of trying to emulate what they've looked up to. They spend hours debating the positions or the talking points that the person is known for, that they tend to admire. And then they also tend to hang out with other fanboys or girls of similar disposition, so they unwittingly enter into an echo chamber where no dissenting views are allowed. And so I find that quite, it's humorous in a way, but it can also be sad if people don't kind of continue to grow in their spiritual walk. Because here's what we're having to deal with at the time of this recording, and we're seeing it fairly prevalent as our culture shifts. What happens when your theological hero goes off the rails? How do you save face when so much of your identity's been wrapped up in trying to proselytize others to your hero's viewpoint on things? Here's some words I think I can give you that would be helpful, just when you're trying to assess kind of where you are with people you look up to theologically. First, and these are all general statements, and I'm going to assume the person is an Orthodox Christian that holds to a historic understanding of Christianity. First, we are to listen to them. It's okay to listen to our theological heroes. Chances are they're saying something significant that speaks to us, and it's okay to listen to them. Second, we're to learn from them. They probably have something pretty valuable to say, and we can grow from that. Third, it's in general, it's okay to love them. Chances are they're blessing you in some way, and that's okay. But here's the thing: we are never, ever, ever to worship them. And I think that's what the trap some people fall into. I'm thinking of how Paul was talking to one of the churches to which he wrote, and he said, look, follow me as I follow Christ. And so I think we need to keep that same mindset. It's okay to follow these people, but only as they follow Christ. And what that means is we need to recognize their limitations as human beings. We can agree with them on one issue and then totally disagree on another issue, but still admire them. Or there may be two theological heroes we have that conflict in some way. That doesn't mean that you have to throw both of them away, or you only have to cling to one and show your allegiance to one or the other. It simply means that we need to have discerning hearts, and we need to ask ourselves on this issue, is this individual speaking truth? Is this person exemplifying the gospel in the message that they're giving on this topic? Let me give you an example of two of my theological heroes whom I respect very much. One would be Martin Lloyd-Jones, the great preacher from England. And the other would be, as many of you have watched this channel before know, Francis Schaeffer, the evangelist from America. These two individuals were friends, as a matter of fact, and they remained friendly all their lives. As I'm remembering now, Lloyd-Jones actually preached at Schaeffer's oldest daughter's wedding, if I'm remembering correctly. So they were pretty tight. However, Lloyd-Jones thought that Schaeffer's apologetic method was an absolute waste of time. Lloyd-Jones thought that all people needed to hear was the gospel preached, and then the Holy Spirit would do the rest of the work to convict their souls and so on and so forth. He saw Schaeffer's approach of spending time, let's say, at a coffee shop, asking and answering questions with people and interacting with them, pretty much a waste of time. And so, whereas Lloyd-Jones focused on exhortation, kind of that prophetic role, Schaeffer focused on compassion and encouragement, more of a priestly role. So, but they both serve the same King, King Jesus. So when I look at those two individuals on that issue, I would tend to side with Schaeffer because I'm a pastor, but I'm a counselor. And as a counselor, I think of Lloyd-Jones's book, Spiritual Depression. See, Lloyd-Jones was a medical doctor before he became a minister. He was very analytical, and that's why you see it in his exposition, especially the book of Romans. It's point 1, point 2, point 3, very logical, very cognitive, very good. But if you look at the overall lesson from Spiritual Depression, from Schaeffer, in my words, would be simply something like this. Toughen up, Buttercup. Well, that sounds great, and if you're not depressed, that's something you can do. However, if you struggle with depression, that's a little bit difficult. Now, Schaeffer's approach of asking questions and drawing people out and helping them see erroneous thinking, I think would be a little more effective in that case. However, that does not mean that I don't admire Lloyd-Jones as a preacher and as an expositor of the Word. On the other, he's better than Schaeffer as a preacher for sure. However, Schaeffer's approach fits more in line with what I do on a daily basis, and so therefore, on that issue, I would tend to agree with Schaeffer. However, I don't throw Lloyd-Jones out. If Lloyd-Jones and Schaeffer could remain friends through those differences of opinion, why can't I hold to both of their, get the good, take the good from both, and hopefully make myself a better person and more like Jesus. So I just want to encourage you, remember, it's okay with your theological heroes to listen to them, to love them, to learn from them, all those kind of things, but don't worship them. And also be open to understanding that they're human beings just like you and I are. They don't have everything figured out. And so take what you can. Spit out, chew out the meat, spit out the bones. And hopefully God will use their teachings to bless you so you can be a blessing to others. Well, I hope this video has been helpful. If you enjoy the work that I'm doing here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss future videos. God bless, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.